Yeah, hi, welcome to my channel. Stephanie Green here. And I'm just doing something that has been requested of me by a lot of people. And I'm doing some self-care and some grooming. Right now I'm shaving my arms. I just shaved my face. And I thought I'd do something different because I want people to know that I am absolutely 110% my authentic self all the time. Now, people should understand I do have very strong and very um, unorthodox opinions. And if you watch my vlogs, especially my childhood memories and, you know, videos on, like, my mental health issues and things, you would know that, you know, I'm not atypical. And so I don't fit the mold of most regular people. But I also should point out that, believe it or not, I did go to college. And I did study broadcasting, and I did work in the television industry, in the news media business. And so I do know how to produce quality, professional looking content. But when I did produce a TV show, it was called The Trans Station. And I sat at a desk, and it had lights, and I used a high definition camera, and I had a little set, and I used professional editing software, and I edited in, you know, graphics and lower thirds, and I made it look like a TV show, just like I did when I worked at the TV station. And I was lucky if I could get 30, maybe 40 views on a video. And aside from that, because that was very rare, and my razor just died. The battery just died on me, so I can't finish my arm. Oops. But anyways, aside from that, I still work full time. You know, full time. And in addition to working full time, I'm a freelance writer. I just published 2 books in the past 12 months. And I've got a third book already finished. I'm just like, you know, tweaking it and editing it and making it look pretty, you know, and I'm going to publish it here pretty soon, actually. So a lot of people, I hear a lot of advice on YouTube. People say how you should make YouTube videos, right? And they say you should have, like, catchy thumbnails, and that you have to have, quote, topical content, and that you should have a very specific niche that sets you apart from everybody else. And then they say things like, you have to have a ring light or well-lit studio, and you got to do your hair and makeup and look like you're on TV. And while it is true that a significant number of YouTubers do that, the most successful YouTubers, Markiplier, Logan Paul, PewDiePie, Good Mythical Morning, Mr. Beast, Smosh, they don't have a niche. They're just fucking YouTubers. They do random shit, whatever pops in their head. One day they could be eating jalapeno poppers. Another day they could be test driving a Tesla. The next day they could be going for a walk in the park and just, you know, greeting people on the street. Or something different every day. And that brings people back. And one of the reasons people come to these big channels, Smosh, Mr. Beast, etc., Rhett and Link, etc., etc., it has nothing to do with production value or the topic. People come back for the personality. And I learned this when I worked in the television business. We did not hire talent. We hired personality. we picked news reporters and news anchors based on their on-screen presence. Yes, they had to have talent. They had to have the skill set. They had to know how to edit videos and know, they had to have a good sense of what is news and what isn't news, and, good ethics and everything else. They had to have a good foundation. But at the end of the day, our most popular segments on our morning shows or on our evening news were like when our journalists went out and did unconventional stories. I had a news reporter one time who did a story on the trash problem, right? So she was going around dumpster diving in her regular news attire, what she would wear if she was going to be doing a live shot in front of a Kmart grand opening or going out of business or whatever it was. And she just pulled her hair back and dove into the dumpster and popped her head out and was digging through, and she's like, this is what homeless people are eating. And that segment, that 2-minute video of her digging through garbage, was our highest viewed video on our website for like a month and a half. Because that was real, that was authentic. She was like, yeah, this is, I had a girl who was covering there was like this small, what do you call it? Like, I want to say like Pioneer Village type. It was like an old West village that was preserved, right? And they had this cute little winter cottage on set, or on property, I should say. And it was, like early December, and they had just, it was the first day that Santa Claus, they made a big deal. There was a parade and everything. Santa Claus had arrived, and her early segment was covering the parade, right? It was, here's the parade and interviewing people on the street, and that's pretty standard, typical news. But when Santa arrived, she went in and set up her camera, and she grabbed a plate of cookies, and she sat on his lap and handed him a cookie and a glass of milk, and asked him if she could, tell him what she wanted for Christmas. And she said she wanted, people to be happy and have success in their lives and their careers. And he laughed and chuckled, and that, minute and a half, 90-second segment of her sitting on his lap and being, she's like, I don't know, 23, 24-year-old girl, pretty small, petite looking girl, but just in that moment, being a child or being childlike. And that video got significantly more traffic than our standard, it's the Elf on the Shelf, or, it's the Parade of Lights, or, Black Christmas sale, whatever, like the standard typical crap you see. The point is, even in the, watch Good Morning America, right? Or the Today Show. Watch The View. Even these daily entertainment talk shows, right? These, because they're called morning shows, is what they're called. Just sit there and watch 3 hours of Good Morning America. Yes, you are going to get sitting at the desk, lights on, suit and tie, button-up shirt for the women, talking about what's going on in the world, the Middle East, the election, celebrities that have passed away recently, etc. But if you keep watching, you'll notice that they'll do the serious segment, and then they'll take a break, go to commercial, maybe pop over to weather for 3-4 minutes, and then hit up the local, let the local station have their thing, and then when they come back, they'll be doing a fun segment, maybe they set up, it's Christmas time, right? And they'll set up all the, all the Christmas toys, and the news reporter, the anchors will come out and play with the toys on camera, just like a little kid. and be like, yo, this toy is really great. Parents are going to love this. Or this toy, I don't really understand it. Who's it for, you know? But they're going to sit there and do something fun, right? Raw, off the cuff. Yeah, it is all in morning news and everything. Legally, it is scripted to a point because it has to be, because you have to have captions. That is required by the Federal Trade Commission. If you don't have captions, or is it the FC? I think it's the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. Either or. But anyways, one of the government agencies, I believe it's the FCC, requires them by law. And if they don't have captions that are, you know, fairly accurate, they get really, really, really heavy-duty fines. So it is semi-scripted, but there's also room for off the cuff. And you have people, sometimes when they know it's going to be live and it's going to be off the cuff, they will pay a transcriber to sit there and type the captions live as they, you know, with their headphones on, and type it live. That is something they actually do. So in that case, you'll see things like, you know, the weatherman, right? Al, is it Al Roker, I think, will go out and build a snowman, you know, and put a scarf on it and throw snowballs at the kids. You know, that really happens in professional Hollywood television. You know what I mean? That off the cuff, down to earth, just natural, let it happen type of video. That is what people watch. Now, we talk about, you know, big YouTubers, right? The big YouTubers get like, you know, a good 10, 20 million views. The ginormous ones, right? We're talking, you know, Smosh and PewDiePie. But your average big YouTuber with like 2 or 3 million subscribers, they're going to get a few 100,000 views. Maybe 1 million, maybe 2 million views on a really good day. Your morning shows, Good Morning America, USA, not USA Today, the Today Show, you know, The View, they're getting multiple millions of views daily. Like, television ratings are astronomically higher than YouTube ratings. And so if you try to mimic what the network TVs are doing, right, you're not going to draw that audience away, because why are they watching network TV? Well, because they're at home, right? Maybe they work from home, or they work the graveyard shift, or the evening shift, or it's their day off, and they just turn on the TV and that's what's on, and they just leave it on while they do laundry and cook breakfast and, you know, whatever they do. And so people watch those shows, especially older people that are retired, you know, because we're all going to age out of the YouTube audience eventually. It's just natural, right? So when you look at the popular YouTube channels, and I say, you know, take away the, you know, the ones that are, you know, like celebrities, right? Like Taylor Swift, or, you know, Kevin Smith, or, you know, the ones that are run by megastars, A-listers. You know, they're going to get billions of views on their channel all the time. Yes, billions. Because they're megastars, right? And I don't mean billions as in per video, but I mean like their channel overall. They're going to get hundreds and hundreds of millions of views very easily. You take those away and you look at the what's left, right? The top, I don't know, 30 or so channels, and you've got like, you know, Linus Tech Tips, and you've got, you know, you've even got like popular channels like MatPat. What does he do? I mean, yeah, he does theory videos, but he's like all over the place. Sometimes it's Minecraft, sometimes it's Mario, sometimes it's some indie game you've never heard of. Sometimes he's talking about apple juice, sometimes he's talking about cheeseburger, sometimes he's talking about dandelions. You know, he's all over the fucking place. He's got 4 channels. Well, I know he's like retired recently or whatever, but that was what he was doing. Look at Markiplier. If somebody said, what type of content does Markiplier do? What type of content does Logan Paul do? What type of content does Smosh do? Or Rhett and Link, you know, Good Mythical Morning. And they're going to tell you, well, they just do, well, fun content, right? Or variety content. They do entertainment, right? Well, we call it, on YouTube, We call it vlogging. Now, if they worked in a TV station, we would just say that's like like a standard morning show or an afternoon talk show, a variety show, something like that. That's what these channels are, right? Even, sometimes they'll do you know, like a let's play type of video where they'll play a popular video game like Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft or whatever and then commentate over it. But the bulk of their content can't be defined so easily. You know what I'm saying? So, people get hung up on, ooh, I have to differentiate myself from everybody else. And I'm going to tell you, you don't. Because the Today Show, USA Today, not USA Today, Good Morning America, The View, Conan O'Brien, Saturday Night Live, these are all the same show. They're all just variety shows. Some of them lean more on news than others. Some of them lean more on comedy than others. But every episode is going to be random and unpredictable. Now, there's a format to an evening talk show, like a late night show. You have the monologue, and you have the opening musical guest, and then you have the celebrity guest, and then you interact with the audience and play games and do, weird shit. And then you let the band, the whoever the band you brought on, play a number or two. And then you do some jokes and some skits. But there's a format. But it's unpredictable and random, right? You never know what you're going to get. Saturday Night Live, same thing. It's a comedy sketch show, but you don't know who the guests are going to be, what the sketches are going to be, who they're going to come out impersonating. It's going to be random and unpredictable every single time. The View, they're going to sit around and they're going to yap, right? That's what they do. But they're going to get up and play games, right? Sometimes they're going to bring out the big wheel and spin it to give somebody in the audience a prize. Sometimes they're going to be throwing pies in people's faces. Sometimes they're going to bring on a clown or a mime to come out and entertain people, or they'll bring a gymnast on the show to, tie themselves up in a pretzel or whatever. But they'll still follow the same standard format, which is basically entertainment, right? They're just entertainment shows. You can't really define them. We in the industry, you have morning shows, talk shows, daytime talk shows, and late night talk shows, but they're all basically the same show. It's just the morning shows are a little more, goofy and kind of a little serious when it's time to do news, but a little light and fluffy because people are waking up and they're just not ready for the heavy stuff yet. The morning talk shows, the mid-morning talk shows, I keep saying The View because that's the one I know. We used to have Ellen and a few others, but those shows, and basically The View is the big one, right? It's the one everybody knows. But there's other copycats. I shouldn't say copycats, but it used to be Regis and Kelly, but it's gone through some name changes, but it's the same show, basically. They're sitting at a table, and you're going to have the guest, but you don't know who the guest is going to be or what they're going to do. There's going to be skits, there's going to be games, there's going to be all kinds of weird shit, right? It's unpredictable. This is what the successful, popular YouTubers do. Go just watch, just pull up Good Mythical Morning and just watch 6 random Good Mythical Morning. Just watch 6 random videos from their channel. You're going to get hey, what's the best flavor of M&M? And then you're going to get, we challenged ourselves to a game of Jeopardy to see if we're smarter than Gen Z. And then you're going to get, an episode where they're playing cornhole, or an episode where they're playing with toys, or an episode where they're looking at yearbook photos, or an episode where they're making prank calls. Just something different every single time. Now, yes, they do have some repetition. They have certain quote segments that they repeat. Certain types of videos that they try to repeat. But it's a daily show. They do videos every day of the week. So every day they try to do something different. and they have a little variety. Look at Markiplier. Sometimes he's walking down the street just asking people, hey, do you fart in public? Sometimes he's jogging in the park. Sometimes he's sitting at a table eating corn dogs. Sometimes he's tinkering with his cell phone. He's doing something different. And I know he's primarily a Let's Player, but he does like a lot of other stuff too. Look at Smosh. They're more like an SNL type of, skit type of skit comedy sketch show. Look at Logan Paul and Jake Paul. You don't have to respect them as people, but look at what they do. Their videos are 100% random and unpredictable to the audience, right? You never know what you're going to get when you pop into a Logan Paul or a Markiplier or a Mr. Beast video. Now, they have, again, repetition, certain types of videos that people respond to well, or that they know that they can easily repeat because it's easy content to produce. I do the same thing. Now I haven't done a lot of, I'm not very active. I'm overweight and have a broken foot and I have neuropathy in my legs. So I'm not, doing somersaults. I don't have the camera set up for that. I'm not in the kitchen showing you how to cook mac and cheese with sour cream because ew. Or maybe not you. I don't know. I'm not doing those kind of... So what I'm doing is vlogging, right? Primarily, right? You watch my videos, but I make sure I have, a format, right? So I always try to have... And I rotate them every week. I'll try to, go through and pick... I'll always try to have, a food topic, so I can talk about something food-related, because everybody can relate to that. Everybody eats. 100% of the people on the planet Earth that have ever lived eat food. It's what we do. Everybody eats something different. Everybody has different tastes, but everybody eats, right? And then I'll do a top 25 list. Now, go back and look at my playlist, right? Look at my top 25s. Some of them are top 25 X video game console games, or some of them are top 25 comic book characters. But then there's also random ones like top 25 Easter basket gift ideas, or top 25, sports figures, or top 25, like I just recently did, famous movie cars, or whatever. I try to keep it interesting. Now, there are channels like What Culture and Looper and a few others that literally all they do are top 10, top 20 lists. That's like their focus. And those channels are successful too. But again, if you go and look at it, it's not the same. They're not just doing the same thing every time. Sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's TV shows, sometimes it's comic books or video games or favorite commercials or restaurants or vacations, but whatever. It's something different. There's a format, but then there's also the unpredictability of it. The randomness of it, or even possibly chaos of it, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So when you hear people say that you have to have a niche, right? Like a hyper focus, like let's take Angry Video Game Nerd. Now, he's an exception, and I'm using him because he is an exception. And the reason why I bring him up is because he has one of the most successful niche channels to an extent. But he's not as niche as you think. Actually, go and watch him. Yes, he is primarily the Angry Video Game Nerd. I would say 65% of his content, maybe 60% of his content, is Angry Video Game Nerd episodes as a whole. Now, his output recently, and more like the last 5 or 6 years, not so much. But as a whole, yes, that is his focus, his niche. But he also has different segments that come and go. Like, he did Board Games. He did a whole series of videos called Board Games. He regularly does, it's bullshit videos. Regularly. Not like every day or every week, but, it's a regular part of his rotation. He does the Cinemassacre, I can't remember what it's called, but every Halloween, every October, he does, Cinemassacre, Fear Fest or whatever it's called, where he talks about horror movies. That has nothing to do with Angry Video Game Nerd. That has nothing to do with, what's bullshit. That has nothing to do with board games. And then sometimes he does Let's Plays. Sometimes he does, let's sit and chat about The Terminator. Or let's sit and chat about RoboCop. Or let's sit and chat about, Rainbow Bright. He does, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has a niche, a format, right? But even he expands beyond that. Now, the reason why I brought him up as an exception is even though he does have a niche primarily, and he does do variety content outside his niche, because that's what you have to do, he is an exception because he got in early and became one of the most famous and successful YouTubers early on, and so he's had that longevity and the ability to just keep growing his audience because he was there from the beginning and just people gravitated to him. And so he has that, he probably has like 2, maybe 3 million subscribers, but his videos only get like a few 100,000 views because, like, how many people subscribed in like 2009 that are still watching his videos? Maybe they stopped watching in 2017, but from 2009 to 2017, yeah, they watched a shit ton of his videos, but now they've moved on, right? It's the same thing with take some of the other niche ones. I've already kind of sort of deconstructed MatPat a little bit, but I don't want to pick on MatPat because people give me shit for that, and I probably should have done better on my MatPat video, but it is what it is. I was trying to be funny, but I came off as aggressive, and I should have rephrased everything. That whole video was bitter, but that's my fault. But I'm gonna deconstruct a couple other YouTubers that are successful, and I'm not gonna talk about like Mr. Beast or whatever, but I am gonna talk about let's talk about the 8-bit guy. He's pretty niche, right? On the surface, the 8-bit guy. That's the name of his channel, right? And his early videos were on 8-bit video game graphics and computers, right? So he spent all his time talking about, how does the NES do pixel graphics, or how does the TurboGrafx 16 do pixel graphics, or how does the Commodore 64, and things like that. Well, you can only do that for so long before you run out of stuff to talk about, right? So he adapted. He did a whole series, like documentary-style videos on the Tandy family of computers, and a whole documentary-style series of videos on the Commodore, the whole history of the Commodore's product line. And then occasionally he'll do, like, I got this junk computer, and he'll do a restoration video. Sometimes he'll do a, hey, I got this really dope electric Casio synthesizer keyboard thingamabob, and he'll like play with it, and or sometimes he'll get like this neat little gadget and he'll talk about it, or he'll show off his his camcorder or his favorite Walkman or whatever. His videos, he has a niche, right? It's he's the 8-bit guy, right? His niche is tech. But if you watch him regularly, you'll know that his videos don't have anything to do with 8-bit fuck all anymore, right? He's not the 8-bit guy anymore. That's just the name of his channel. That's what people know him as. But he's not doing 8-bit guy videos anymore. He's doing all kinds of other stuff. He's branched out, right? Because, well, he did all the... There's only so much you can do if you're an 8-bit computer person, because there's only like 7 or 8, major 8-bit platforms that people know about. Yeah, you could dig into the weeds and do the obscure stuff that no one's ever heard of, but who's going to watch those videos? That video is going to get like 10 views. He does a video on, is the Commodore 64 actually better than the Amiga 1000? And, he's going to get hundreds of thousands of views because there's hundreds of thousands of people that know what a Commodore 64 is and know what an Amiga is. But if he does some video on, like, the Dick Smith, no one knows what the fuck a Dick Smith is, and no one's gonna fucking watch that. Dick Smith Wizard, or whatever the fuck it was called. See, I'm a computer nerd, and even I get this shit wrong, right? Look at Technology Connections. His channel blew up overnight. When I subscribed to Technology Connections, he had like 4, maybe 5,000 subscribers. And within like a year or two, he was in the several thousand subscribers and snowballing. But he started out doing a whole series, it was called Technology Connections, and he did a whole series of documentary style, in-depth looks at not just the history of like film and television and radio technology, like hi-fi and cameras and film and sound and all that stuff. Not just the history of it, but the actual science of how it works. And then he moved on to televisions, and then he moved on to computers and video games, and then he moved on to like, laser discs and VHS and stuff. But then he started doing like, pinball machines and, microwave ovens and coffee makers and sewing machines and all this random shit. And he does a lot of videos talking about EVs and LED lights for some reason. He seems to be obsessed with those. But anyways, he is fairly niche, but his total subscriber count is an insignificant fraction of Good Mythical Morning, Mr. Beast, Logan Paul. We're talking a difference of, 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers, and 50, 60,000 views per video, to, multiple millions of subscribers and, a handful of millions of views per video. We're talking the difference between a few 100,000 to a few million. That's a big, mathematically, that is a ginormous, astronomically ginormous gap. Why is Mr. Beast, Markiplier, the Pauls, why are they so insanely, massively successful? And Technology Connections, the 8-Bit Guy, Lazy Game Reviews, Pushing Up Roses, Metal Jesus Rocks, these guys, even AVG and Nerd, they have their niche, right? They have their audience, but there's a limit, right? Look at my videos. I've got multiple playlists, right? I'm going to come back to my channel here in a second. I've got top 25 lists, right? And sometimes it's movies or video games or toys or, pets or whatever, but it's like, it's a very specific playlist, right? But then I also have like food videos, right? So sometimes I'll be like, hey, why do people like pickles? And then I'll just talk about pickles for however long I can naturally talk about pickles before I run out of stuff to say. Or I'll do a video where I'm like, hey, you know what? My favorite car is X, and I'll talk about all the things I love about that car. Or I'll do a video like, hey, do you remember like snow days? Wasn't that cool? And then I'll talk about all the things we did when we got a snow day. Just random stuff. Now, I bring this up because I look at the analytics, and I know which videos I do are more successful than others. My most successful videos are my controversial videos, where I'll state an extremely harsh, unpopular opinion. Like, my most popular video is, you're remembering the N64 wrong. Go check out that video. It's got 3,000 views, which is insignificant compared to, like, the big guys. But that's huge. 3,000 views for a channel that has barely 700 plus subscribers. That's and that video got over 3,000 views when I only had like 130 subscribers. It exploded. That's why my views. In September of last year, so 12 months ago, I put out a tweet on Twitter. I had like 30 subscribers. I was like, hey friends, help me get to 50 subscribers by October 1st. And I just kept pushing my videos and tweeting every day. I would tweet like, here's one of my favorite videos or whatever. And I would tag all my friends and retweet it every day. And I'd be like, please help me get up to, I just want to get to 50 subscribers by October 1st. And I hit it, right? And then those subscribers started sharing the videos and commenting on the videos. And then I was like, hey, you know what? I want to see if I can get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. I gave myself a little bit more time. And I reached that goal. And then once I got over 100 subscribers, I kept pushing, and doing, consistently doing content and promoting the channel. But I started getting about 75-ish, 50 to 75 new subscribers a month once I got over 100. Now, I'm at about 710-ish right now, currently. And it fluctuates because some subscribers, a lot of times people will like subscribe, they'll click on a video and they'll be, oh, this is cool, and they'll subscribe. And then the next video they get recommended, they're like, oh, this sucks, and then they'll unsubscribe. That does happen. Or, you know, somebody thinks Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I'll call them an asshole because they're stupid. And I don't really believe that, but I'll say it because, you know, it pisses people off. I do think I think it is stupid to think Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but I'm not going to say somebody is stupid for thinking that. But that's a nuance I don't want to get into. I don't understand why people think it's a Christmas movie, because it's fucking not. It's an action movie. It's a bloody, violent, gory fucking action movie. But anyways, I don't want to get into that. I've already bitched about that enough. But what I'm getting at is, look at the variety of my videos, right? And yes, primarily my video game videos in general tend to do better in general on average than most of my other videos. But if you look at my top 10, here, I'm going to pull it up. I'm just going to read my top 10 videos, right? My top 10 most viewed videos, to prove that having a niche is not, well, isn't working for my channel, because what is working is not having a niche, really. And I'm going to show you. Here's my top. I'm going to go sort by most viewed. Number 1, you're remembering the N64 wrong. Number 2, 2,000 views, beer versus liquor versus wine. Number 3, why Doctor Who is secretly rubbish. Number 4, sit-down restaurants versus fast food versus buffet. Number 5, Three Stooges memories. Number 6, why the PS4 is my forever console. Number 7, miniature war games and RPG minis. Number 8, why I don't get comedy. Number 9, brand new video I just posted, a PlayStation guide for Nintendo gamers. And number 10, a look back at PCs over the years. And then, 11, remembering 9/11, my Mortal Kombat memories. Let's talk the 90s grunge movement, top 25. You know what I'm saying? Like that. None of these have anything to do with anything. None of these are connected. I mean, there's like 2, maybe 3 videos that are video game related, but they're like not the same kind of content, And that's because every video is going to resonate with somebody differently. Now I'm going to go the opposite direction. What are my least viewed? No, sort by most viewed. I'm going to go most viewed, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom. What are my least viewed videos? The ones that nobody gives a shit about. And I'm going to prove the same thing, right? Let me just get to the bottom. The videos nobody watches. And you're going to see basically the same, more or less, randomness. And it's not going to make sense, because there will be videos that you would think would have been, would have resonated with people and didn't. So my least popular video, it looks like 13 views, popsicles and frozen treats. And then 18 views, were direct-to-video movies any good? Well, obviously nobody cared. Top 25 greatest sports figures of all time, 13 views. Nobody cared. Minivan versus gas station, 7 views. Portable music player memories, 6 views. What in the Sam hell is a frisbee golf? 8 views. Remembering Yahoo Chat. Who even remembers today's special? Remembering Pogs, digital watches, Bobby's World, Tetris. Tetris should have got views. Bomberman didn't get any views. Is Friends worth watching? 14 views. Well, people love Friends, but nobody wanted to watch that video. And I'm looking at the videos that nobody watches, right? Top 25 beat-em-ups of all time. Well, nobody watched that. But when I look at, like, videos somebody did watch, let me scroll back to the top 25, let me see if I can find one people did watch. Top 25 greatest PS1 games of all time. 77 views. Not top Top 25 worst WWE wrestlers, 84 views. Oh, I'm not a wrestling channel. And people who watch my videos know that I don't have mainstream opinions on wrestling. And I'm not incredibly knowledgeable about wrestling, but for some reason. Top 25 coolest Dungeons and Dragons monsters, 123 views. Now, these are not significant numbers. But the point is, like, the videos that resonate with people are inconsistent and not predictable. And I can look at analytics and see, and I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to show you this. It's none of your business. And also, it's, kind of whatever. But I can look at the analytics, and it's going to tell me which of my videos people watched. It's going to show me my top shorts, and there's my top 5 shorts. My Animal Crossing video is doing really well. And then where my views are coming from, it looks like Twitter. And then if I look at audience, right? How many returning viewers do I have? Not bad. Unique viewers, pretty good. Up 42% more than previous 28 days, so growth. 19 new subscribers. That's growth. And then it gives me demographics on age and gender. 80% of my audience is male for whatever reason. 70% live in the US. That's understandable. Here's something that's important. 47% of my audience is subscribed. And I have pretty good audience retention. If I look at the audience retention, it shows me that people come back, right? And it shows me watch duration, right? Watch time from subscribers and then watch duration. I can see that my subscribers, as in the people that come back for my content, generally stick around. Now, looking at watch time, most people don't watch the entire video all the way through, like all the way through, but that's normal. Most people don't. I'll sit and watch a video, right? A 20-minute. It'll be like a 20-minute runtime. I'll watch like 16 minutes of it, and I'll be like, all right, I got the gist. I've seen enough. And then I'll like get bored and move on. So I understand that happens. And then maybe like a week or two later, it'll pop back up in my feed and remind me, hey, you didn't finish this video. And I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, let's finish it now. So like sometimes the analytics aren't accurate because it's going to say nobody watched this video or they only watched like 3 minutes of a 7-minute video or whatever. But it's like, yeah, today they watched 3 minutes of the video, but like they put it in their watch later playlist and they came back to it a month later and finished it, right? So you have to take the analytics with a grain of salt. I know some YouTube channels that have abandoned their niche focus specifically because the algorithm changes and the audience retention and everything else. Specifically Toy Galaxy, which is now called Secret Galaxy, right? They don't give a they don't talk about toys at all, but that was the whole point of it. They were a toy channel, and now they're a pop culture channel. Why? Because doing just toys limits your audience. So I'm going to tell you a few things that I learned, 1, in college, and 2, working in the news media, and 3, just from my own observations, that are going to blow a lid on everything you think you know about YouTube. Number 1, don't have a niche. That's like a death knell for your channel because you're limiting your audience. Some people think, oh, if you have a super hyper-focused niche, you're going to stand out from everyone else. So let's say I have 4 YouTube channels. So I do have 2 YouTube, well, actually 3 YouTube channels. Technically, well, 2 that are niche, right? Kind of. So I have Horror Trans, right? I only talk about horror stuff on that channel. Let's say horror channel. Now, the vast majority of my content are horror movie reviews. Now, I had done a podcast and a newscast type show in the past that I have since put on hold. I haven't canceled it. I'm trying to bring it back, but it's a matter of getting organized. But I've also done like horror icons. I've done like top 25 videos on that channel too, and dabbled in other content. But like, okay, that channel has like 360 or 70 subscribers, right? And it's not going to grow as fast or as big as my primary channel, this channel that you're watching this video on, if you're still watching, which if you are, thank you, honestly, thank you if you are still watching. Sincerely, I appreciate you very much, because I'm trying to teach you something. Because here's the thing, let's say you want to do horror movie reviews, right? And you're like, your niche is, I'm only going to review 80s slasher movies, that's great, right? Except for, there's like 500 other YouTube channels that only review 80s slasher movies. So you're not going to stand out like you think you are, because there are dozens and dozens and hundreds of other channels already doing that niche, right? Already doing that. So having a hyper-focused niche is a bad idea. Now you're going to throw your pinky up and be like, well, isn't that the same thing as like the big entertainment channels? Aren't there hundreds of thousands of them too? Yes, but we're going to get there. We're going to address that, okay? We're going to address that. But the thing is, the more successful channels are the ones that can adapt to audience retention. Now I'm going to bring up a small YouTuber who only has a few thousand subscribers. Maybe 40, 50,000. I haven't looked in a while, but he doesn't have millions of subscribers. And his name is John Riggs, and his channel is Rigged Gaming, or it used to be. He may have changed it. Now, when he started making videos, he was doing cereal reviews, right? And it was just called the John Riggs channel or whatever, because that's his name. And it was just cereal, it was like, hey, here's Cocoa Puffs. And he would just eat a box of Cocoa Puffs and talk about it. And then occasionally he would do like, he would buy an old NES cartridge from the flea market or whatever, and he would repair that cartridge and do what do you would call it? Cartridge repair, or whatever type of video that is. And he got more views doing that than he did, reviewing cereal boxes. And so he slowly started doing more cartridge and console repairs. Now, that's pretty niche, right? But he also figured out, it didn't take long for him to figure out that that's not sustainable, because he can't keep buying broken systems and investing the money to fix them for his YouTube channel, because there's no return on investment. So he had to do other videos. So he started doing tier lists and ranking videos and things like that. Now, tier lists and ranking videos, on the surface, yeah, that sounds pretty niche, right? Well, two things about that. Yeah, everybody's doing it, right? And everybody's doing the same kind of stuff. If you just search, Halloween tier list, you're going to get hundreds of videos of different YouTubers all doing the same thing, ranking the Halloween movies and putting which ones they think are S tier and which ones they think are D tier, etc. Everyone's going to have a different opinion, and they're going to present it differently, but all of those channels, even the most successful ones, have limited growth. They have a cap, a hard limit on how many subscribers they can get, because there's a hard limit on how many horror fans there are, and you're not going to get all of them. Let's say, hypothetically, you're a Nintendo 8-bit Let's Play channel, and that's all you do. You only thing you do is play Let's Play NES games. Now, if you're going by the US alone, there's fewer than 800 games on the console. If you are going to expand it to include Europe and Japan, there's about 1,300 or so games on the officially licensed retail released games. Now, let's say you're only going to play North American retail licensed games, right? So that means no Tengen, no Bubble Bath Babes, no Big Nose, no, what's the big one everyone likes? I was going to say Stadium Events, but that's not it. But you know what I'm saying. Like, there's tons of games you won't be playing, right? But here's the thing. let's say there's hypothetically, let's say there's 10 million total people on the planet Earth that are willing to subscribe to an 8-bit Let's Play channel, right? Just subscribe to. Now here's the thing. You might get people who will watch you play Batman, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or The Legend of Zelda, or Metroid, or Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, or Battletoads, depending on how good you are. But you're going to have a considerably harder time getting people to watch you play 8 Eyes, or Abadox, or Xerxes, or Princess Tomato. And these are real NES games, because these are games no one's fucking heard of. No one's ever played these games. No one knows what Xerxes is. No one's ever heard of that game. You don't even believe me that I'm making... You probably think I'm making that word up. That's a real game. But you're like, I don't even know how to spell that. Yeah, and I'm not going to tell you how to spell it, because you're SOL. Sorry. But the point is, there's a hard limit on how many subscribers versus how many viewers that channel can get. That's niche. You cannot get 10 million subscribers, because let's say hypothetically there's only 10 million people in the world willing to watch 8-bit Let's Plays. Well, some of them are going to go watch James and Mike Plays, or Mike Matei, or Aaron Plays, or, one of these other YouTubers, because there's thousands of them, right? They're going to pick their favorite Let's Player and watch them play the games they want to watch them play. So, let's say you start off with the big hits, right? Donkey Kong, Kirby, Zelda, Mario, Castlevania, and you get like 40,000 subscribers in a short amount of time, right? Let's say within a year or 2 years, and your videos are getting a good 7,000-8,000 views per video, right? So you're like, okay, you're happy with that, right? Because people are coming and watching you play The Legend of Zelda, or Ninja Turtles, or Batman 1989, or 1990, whatever. Anyways, the NES Batman. But then you pop in, what's that? What's? I'm trying to think of something. Yogi Bear, right? You decide to play Yogi Bear, and you get like 12 views on that video. And then the next week or day or whatever time, however often you play, you decide to play, I don't know, Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland. Yeah, that one might get a few more, that one might get 700 or 800 views. And then you decide to play something, I can't even think of it. Also, Abadox, right? I'll just say Abadox. Or Foxanadu. You decide to play Foxanadu, and that video gets no views because nobody knows what that is, right? And then you play, like, the next week you play, like, Frogger, and people are like, that's boring. So you get, like, 30 views because people have nostalgia for Frogger, but they don't really want to watch you play Frogger because that's boring. You know what I'm saying? And if you only play The Legend of Zelda over and over, after a while, that gets boring. People stop watching because there's a pattern. You're going to be playing the same... You're going to be doing the same thing every time you play. It's going to essentially be the same content every time you play. Well, people are going to get bored with that, and they're going to stop watching. So then you're going to have to do things like, oh, I'm going to play the second quest, or I'm going to do the no sword challenge, or I'm going to play the dungeons out of order, or whatever. Alright, but there's still only so much you can do with that, right? That'll only get you so much content. So being that niche, that hyper-focused, that limiting, is going to give you a small, relatively loyal audience. And that's it, right? That's it. You are going to have a hard limit. There's a brick wall you cannot pass because there's no more people beyond that give a shit, right? Now, let's say you do something a little broader, right? Like, you decide you want to do tech videos, but you don't have a, your niches, your focus, quote, is tech videos, right? But like maybe one video is how to repair a VHS VCR, and another video is how to install Windows XP on a Pentium 2, and another video is, the history of the Apple IIe, and then another video is what's a PDA, and then another video, you know what I mean? Like maybe another video is just you buying junk parts at the Goodwill and seeing what you can build with it. The point is, there's a niche there, but it's pretty broad, right? So like let's go back to, let's talk about, movie channels, right? There's a lot of pop culture YouTubers, right? That all they do is talk about movies and TV shows and comic books and video games. But they talk about a good variety of them, Like a lot of them will pick like whatever is popular or whatever they are familiar with. So you'll have whole channels like Star Wars Explained, for example, that only talks about Star Wars. Now there's a ton, and I'm using that as an example. There's a ton of Star Wars focused channels. Now Star Wars is pretty broad, right? There's probably mathematically more people into Star Wars. I hate to say this, and don't give me shit over it, but probably more people into Star Wars than into 8-bit NES. Now I know you're gonna bring up sales figures from 1980, whatever, but the thing is, how many of those people have grown up and gotten over it, moved on, aged out of that, and don't give a shit anymore? And how many young kids aren't gonna give a shit because that stuff is archaic to them? So let's be realistic. I'm not gonna disrespect Nintendo, because I do actually have a lot of respect and love for Nintendo, and I don't understand why people think I hate Nintendo, because I don't. I harp on them because I love Nintendo, and they piss me off because I love them, and they do stupid shit. That's the thing. It's a complicated relationship, but that's neither here nor there. But let's say you have a channel that talks about Star Wars. Well, there is considerably less Star Wars content than there is, on the surface, 8-bit NES content, right? Because if you're doing 8-bit content, you can do Let's Plays, you can do cartridge repairs, you can do, reviews on, like, accessories, or you can do, like, series breakdowns and histories, and there's a good variety, but after a while, you're going to run out of stuff to talk about, because there's only so much you can do. And then you're going to end up repeating yourself. And then you're going to be doing, I did this video 5 years ago, here's an update. Or, new for 2023 or whatever. So you're going to be repeating content you've already done. That's dangerous. But we're going to push that aside for a second. Okay. So on the surface, you would think, well, there's 1,300 NES/Famicom games worldwide, including the Famicom Disk System, so there's a lot of content you can do between Let's Plays and histories and behind the scenes and blah, 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 blah. Because that's a big number. And, they sold 62 million hardware units worldwide throughout its lifespan, which sounds impressive until you compare it to everything else. It's not a failure. It was not, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the gaming system that everybody thinks it is. It was popular at the time, but it was like because there was nothing else. But we're moving past that. But here's the thing, right? Star Wars. You've got 15, 16 movies. You got the 9 saga films, the 2 spin-offs, and the 2 Ewoks. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 films, I guess? Alright, so there's a lot you can dissect with those films, because you can break down each film. You can do, like, individual profiles on every character, on every main character, side character, background character. You can do lore videos on, like, the different factions and aliens and planets and species and etc. You can do in-depth videos on, the dark side of the Force, the light side of the Force, the Jedi, the Sith, everybody else. You can do different technological breakdowns on the different types of ships and technology. There's a lot you can do with just A New Hope, right? So you times that by 13. Okay, now you've got quite a bit of content. But then you have, I'm just going to say several dozen, multiple dozen books that you could dig into. There's so much lore that you can dig into in the books, the Expanded Universe, the Legacy EU, and the Disney EU, right? so much more you can dig into. Then you've got the TV shows. You got Droids. You got Ewoks. You got a couple of Clone Wars shows. You got The Bad Batch. You've got Andor, Obi-Wan, The Mandalorian, Osaka, and more, right? And all of a sudden it's like you've got too much content to keep up with. So you could do like top 10, Rebel heroes, top 10 Jedi, top 10 famous, Imperials, top 10, aliens or whatever, top 10 droids, whatever. You could that'll keep you busy for forever, right? But you have to do more than that. Now the reason why I brought that up is because like Star Wars is pretty big, but even Star Wars kind of has a limit, right? So if you watch, there are channels that are focused on just Star Wars, but I didn't even mention video games and comic books, right? Or toys. So there's so much more you can dig into with Star Wars, right? You could do all kinds of stuff. That'll keep you busy, right? And maybe, you do variety. Like, let's say you do 5 videos a week. Like on Monday you do a deep dive into some type of lore in the movies. One of the movies, you pick something, like, hey, the weather on Dagobah, and you do a whole 30-minute video on the weather on Dagobah, right? Okay, you're gonna find people that are into that. But let's say on Tuesday you do a character profile on Princess Leia. All right, well, there's a significant number of main characters and side characters and background characters and droids and aliens and things that you could do, like, and especially once you dig into the books and the comics and the video games, you can do a character profile, one character profile a week for a good number of years before you run out of content. So okay, some people will watch, the character profile on Princess Leia. Maybe fewer people are going to watch the character profile on Aunt Beru. And then let's say on Wednesday you do a technological breakdown of the science and technology behind the speeder bike, right? And then the next week you do the same thing, but it's like the TIE Fighter, or the ion cannon, or the AT-AT, or the AT-ST, or whatever. All right, so you have people that will come in on Wednesdays that aren't going to watch the videos on Monday or Tuesday, but they're going to come back on Wednesday, right? And then on Thursday, maybe you're going to do, toy videos. You're going to be like, here's my collection of stormtroopers from throughout the different toy lines. And then maybe Friday, it's, we'll look at the comic books or video games or, or whatever. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But the point is, your types of content has to be varied, right? Because some people are going to come back for, let's say you do, like I'll use my channel for example, okay? More people watch my top 25 lists pretty much more than anything else. That playlist has more views overall than any other playlist. But it is completely random which top 25 video topic is going to resonate with the audience. Completely random. Some people are only going to watch, well, most people, I should say, are only going to watch the top 25 list if the topic itself interests them, and they're not going to watch the whole list if, like, the first 5 or 6 entries, piss them off. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, ugh, I can't agree with this person, and they're gonna swipe off the video, right? They're just going to close the window, whatever. So, those, there are people that are going to come back for the top 25 lists, but different people are going to come back for different topics. But then I have the food videos, right? Not everybody's going to watch the people that are there for the video game topics, right? I've got my collector guides and my console wars and my video game breakdowns and retrospectives and things like that. So, like, gaming is pretty popular, right? So the people who only come back to my channel for the gaming content are going to pressure me to do more gaming content, right? Because that's all they're interested in. And even though they're interested in gaming content, they're not all interested in the same thing. There are people that are Atari fans that will click on one of my videos and appreciate the fact that I actually care about and respect Atari. And so they'll trust my opinion to talk about other Atari topics. But they don't give a shit about Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox, right? Well, I'm not going to just devote all of my time to Atari topics because, one, I'm not that interested in just Atari. And two, while I have a knowledge base of Atari that is a little bit more in depth than your average gamer, I'm not an Atari expert. I'm going to say things that are wrong, and I'm going to say things that are controversial and maybe even offensive. And I'm not going to apologize for that. It is just going to happen. I'm human, I make mistakes, and this is a vlog. This is literally just a channel where I get shit off my chest, which is what I'm doing right here, right? So you look at that, right? But then, like, there's Nintendo gamers, right? The Nintendo gamers either are going to only watch my Nintendo-themed videos, and they're not going to watch the Atari videos or the Sega videos. Maybe they'll watch the Sega videos if they're, like, a retro gamer, and, you know, they're a fan of the Super NES and the Genesis, maybe. But most likely, if they're a fan of, like, the Super Nintendo or the GameCube, they're probably not a fan of the Dreamcast or the Saturn, realistically, right? And a more than significant proportion of Nintendo gamers, especially the loyalists, who would gravitate towards Nintendo-themed videos, do not care about PlayStation or Xbox at all. And a statistically significant number of them actively hate Xbox and PlayStation and PC. So, because there's a lot of die-hard Nintendo loyalists. And I'm not picking on Nintendo, I'm just using them as an example. The same thing with Sega nerds. Sega nerds have crossed over from outside of reality into fairy tale and have essentially gone insane. And I say this as an insane Sega nerd who will defend the 32X and the Game Gear to death, knowing full good and well that no one's going to agree with me. But I don't give a shit, because it's like, hey, you know what? Y'all are wrong. You should have bought a Game Gear. Nah, I don't give a shit. Honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care what people buy. But the point is, if you're a PC gamer, you're not going to watch me talk about the top 25 Game Boy games, because you don't care, right? So, yeah, some gamers are going to come from my Sega content, and some are going to come from my Atari content, and some from... So I have to mix it up and produce a good variety of different video game related stuff. But the people who come for the food videos, or the retrospectives, or the TV network videos, or the people who come for the, you know, the vlogs, right? The my childhood memories, or my experiences in the pizza business, or my experiences in the entertainment business, or whatever. Those people aren't going to watch they're not going to watch a video that's the top 25 Atari Jaguar games, because they don't even know what an Atari Jaguar is. You know what I'm saying? But, like, let's go back to food, for example, right? I do a lot of food videos, right? So I do, like, you know, hey, what's the best lunch meat? Or how should you eat a cheeseburger? Or, you know, what do you do with pickles? You know? Well, if I do a video on, like, pickles, right? And I'm talking about pickles for 5 minutes. Well, if you're fascinated by pickles, you're going to watch that video to kind of, yeah, you know, that's cool, I agree with that. Or, huh, I never thought of that. But if you don't eat pickles or don't like pickles, you're not watching that video. How am I going to get you to come back to my channel? You know, if you sat through my how to make the best spaghetti video and you're like, wow, that sounds like a really good spaghetti recipe, I want to try that. You come back expecting me to do a how to make linguine or manicotti, and instead I'm talking about why black olives are the best garnish on the face of the earth, and you're like, well, give a shit about black olives. And then my next food video is, should you eat ice cream? And then people are like, well, duh. Right? So I have to mix it up. So and this video is getting long, but I'm gonna talk briefly, and then I'm gonna wrap this up about my process. So people have asked me, how do you come up with topics? And it is kind of random in that I have a Word document on my computer that is called topics. And so I will get an idea for a topic, like let's talk about oak trees. All right, and then I'll write that on the list, and I'll be like, okay, cool, that's on the list. And then when I'm doing my production sheet for the week, I have a production sheet, which is a separate Word document that is broken down by show. And I list the videos I want to do for that show. Horror Trans, Breeze Toys and Games, the vlogs, the top 25 list, the retro video game topic, and, whatever. I break it down by show. And so I'll be like, okay, I wrote down oak trees as a topic I wanted to talk about. And I'll think about it for a minute and be like, I don't really know what I want to say about oak trees right now. So I'll skip that topic, right? And I'll look at something else and be like, oh, rollerblades. Okay, hey, you know what? I got this really cool rollerblading story I want to tell. So I'll put that on the sheet and I'll be like, all right, yeah, that's a good idea. And then, I'll go through the list and I'll just pick random stuff, like, I don't know, like, what are some of the videos I've done? Here, I'm going to pull up my videos. Just pull up some of the videos I've done, because I can't remember everything right now. So I'll just pull up some of the videos I've done. I'm just going to pull up random videos. So I'm going to scroll. Typewriter memories, watermelon thoughts, why the GameCube is beloved, swimming, supermarkets, British humor, Turner Classic Movies, the Smurfs versus the Snorks, let's talk pinball, a video on hipsters, my thoughts on The Big Lebowski, Final Fantasy, school band memories, Mars, tuna versus grilled cheese, Tetris, bugs and insects. The point is, none of these have anything to do with anything, right? They're just random. But they kind of aren't random, because sometimes I'll be like, okay, like I'll have an idea, like I want to talk about bees, and like, okay, so I'll put bees on the run sheet, right? And then I'll think, oh, you know what? I guess if I'm talking about bees, I can also talk about roly-polies, and maybe I can do a video on caterpillars. Maybe I can do a video on, grasshoppers. Maybe I can do a video on hornets. Maybe I can do a video, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? I guess I can do a video on squirrels, too. And so I'll just start, like, listing animals or insects or things that I can talk about. And maybe I'll get inspired and be like, okay, what are the top 25 grossest insects? Or I'll be like, what are the top 25 cutest rodents? Or top 25 desirable dog breeds or whatever. And so I'll sit down and make my list and organize it and put it around, and then when I, doing my run sheet, I'll be like, oh, you know what? That's a good top 25. I'll do that. And so, sometimes I'll be making a video, right? I'll be recording a video, and I'll get an idea in the middle of the video, and I'll be like, ooh, okay, and then I'll log it in the back of my mind. And then as soon as I'm done recording that specific video, I'll write down whatever the idea was. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to say about my process. I have a Word document on my laptop that I edit and add to weekly. So I'm always adding new topics. Now, I have topics written on my list that I put on that sheet 2 years ago, because I've been doing this channel for a while. It's gone through some phases. I've been doing this channel for about 4 years now, but it's gone through some phases, right? Some changes. Well, maybe 3 years. 3 or 4 years. I can't remember when I exactly started it. But the point is, I've got topics that'll be like, I'll be like, I'll get to it when I get to it. So every week I look at the topics, right? But I also have a notepad document on my cell phone. So if I'm like at the park or at the movies or I'm at work or at the gas station or whatever, and something pops in my head, like I'm shopping at the grocery store and I see like, a can of Green Giant green beans, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to talk about Green Giant. you know? And that'll make me think of Mr. Clean, and that'll make me think of Evel Knievel, and that'll make me think of I Dream of Jeannie. So there, I've got 5 topics off of looking at a can of green beans at the supermarket, right? So boom, I've got 5 topic ideas, right? That's a real thing that happens, you know? And so, how do I pick how many videos to produce? Well, I have on my run sheet a set number of videos that I put on the list every week. And basically what I do is after I've done that video, I've wrapped it, I delete it off the list. And so, you know, sometimes I'll do a video and then I'll look at the next video on the list and I'll be like, you know what, I don't feel like doing that one today. I'll just leave it on the list. And then I'll, you know, put something else there. Now, I don't have a schedule as in what date I do videos, obviously. And I don't have a, I guess, schedule or on the number of videos I want to do a week, you know. Bare minimum, I want to do 3 videos a week per channel. That's the bare minimum. Some weeks I'll do more videos, some weeks I'll not do any videos because shit happens, right? And so all of this is my way of saying just make videos you want to make. Do not worry about the audience or the algorithm or thumbnails or any of that shit. If you just want to make videos where all you do is sitting at a card table putting together 500-piece puzzles and talking about your, you know, your childhood memories at grandma's house, do that. You know? Literally only make the content you want to make. Now, I brought up all those channels, Mr. Beast, Good Mythical Morning, Smosh. Go back in the timeline and look at their first year of videos. Every one of those channels, every one of them, their first year of videos is stupid shit. Just, you know, one of them will be like a lip syncing video, or it'll be a video of them beating each other over the head with a cardboard box. Just random shit. That's YouTube. Just have fun. Literally, that's all it is. If you're doing YouTube because you want it to be a job, go to college and become a video editor or a writer or a production assistant or whatever, and go work at a local TV station for 2 or 3 years to get your hands dirty and your feet wet and blah 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 to get the experience, and then go work for some big YouTube channel, some big MCM, you know, like Good Mythical Morning or, you know, PewDiePie or Mr. Beast or whoever's hiring, you know, would have been MatPat or AVG, whatever, whoever is big enough that they need a crew, and apply for, you know, look at Indeed and if that's what you want to do, do that. If you want it to be a job, go to college, get experience, and make it a job. Otherwise, it needs to be a hobby that you do for fun. And that's the thing I tell people. People ask me, every time I tell them I make YouTube videos, the first question, this is the last thing I'm going to say. The first question they ask me is, how much money do you make doing that? And I'll turn it around. What are your hobbies? I'll say, what's one of your hobbies? And they'll be like, oh, I like to put together puzzles, right? And I'll ask them, how much money do you make putting together puzzles? And they'll be like dumbfounded, right? Like, well, I don't do it for the money. I mean, that's stupid. I buy puzzles and I build them and then I put them back in the box, and it's a hobby. That's exactly what YouTube is for me. It's a fucking hobby. This is not my job. This is not a business. This isn't something I do to make money or for attention. It's something I love doing. I studied communications in college. I was a journalist. I was a television producer. I was a DJ. I was a professional musician. You know, I was a break dancer. I did all that shit, right? I'm a writer. I'm a published writer. Why? Because I fucking love it. I love creating things with my hands, with my brain. And I love talking to people, right? Yeah, I have borderline personality disorder. And I'm neurodivergent, which does mean I can be blunt sometimes and direct. And a lot of people don't like that because I'm not going to be tactful, because I fucking don't know how to be tactful, and I don't give a shit, Because I'm making videos for me, not for you. I want you to enjoy the videos, and I appreciate it if you get something out of it. But I want you to understand, I make videos for me, not to make money. I have a full-time job. Okay? And I do not live in my mom's basement, you assholes. So, alright? I make videos because I enjoy it. So I don't need people giving me advice on how to make better videos. Thumbnails, or don't smoke, or blah, 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 blah. Because I don't give a shit. And I don't have to measure my audience. I have had over 5,000 articles professionally published in professional publications. Over a dozen publications over the span of like 8 years. I was a television producer in the North Dallas market, producing the highest rated television newscast in that market with over 700,000 viewers a day. Okay? I'm an award-winning journalist. I'm a member of the Trans Journalist Association. I have over 4,000 followers on Twitter. I have way more followers than that across social media because I have other social medias I don't talk about. Because I don't promote all of them. Because some of them are professional, like, Indeed or LinkedIn. You're not on my LinkedIn. And you're not going to be. Because the only people I connect with on LinkedIn are other people in the business. Okay? I've produced music videos for professional musicians. Okay? So a lot of people think I'm just some asshole who lives in her mother's basement, who lives on welfare, who's making YouTube videos because I'm desperate for attention or money or whatever, and I'm not. Okay? I have sat down and had lobster dinner with Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas. Alright? So, unless you can say that, you don't have any right to give me advice on how to make YouTube videos. Because I've worked in the news business. I have awards and accolades and things that I've already done. I've done more in my life before I hit 30 than most people do in their entire lifetimes. How many of you, raise your hand watching this video, how many of you opened your own record studio and produced 5 albums? How many of you have had songs on the radio or played in nightclubs? Put your hand down, you lying sack of shit. How many of you have gone on a road trip with a professional wrestler, across the state of Texas to the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame? Put your hand down, you lying sack of shit. How many of you have produced a music video for a country music singer? I'm not going to say who it was or what music video it was, none of your business. It's in my professional resume. It's not on my YouTube channel because it's not. I separate my professional media life from my YouTube because YouTube is a hobby. But how many of you have done that? Have you done that? Have you DJ'd a wedding? Did you get paid $600 to take somebody's stack of VHS tapes and put them on DVDs with menus, interactive menus, and transitions and chapters and voiceovers and all that stuff? Have you done that? Have you sat down in the booth and produced a live newscast in the middle of a tornado? Have you done that? Have you had 5,000 articles published in, professional publications? National and local newspapers? Have you been on the local radio ever? And I don't mean as a call-in to ask for, please play me Oingo Boingo. No. Most of you people watching my videos have not done that. Especially you assholes that criticize me for living in my mom's basement, which I don't. And I'm not, please understand, I'm not attacking anybody and I'm not saying I'm better than you. What I am saying is, I have done more in my life than most of you have. I don't mean all of you, and I don't mean you specifically. I'm talking about you, the people that criticize me, right? Or leave nasty, stupid, ignorant comments. If your greatest accomplishment is you got some girl pregnant and tricked her into marrying you, I've got that beat. Okay? I got that beat. You know? If your greatest accomplishment is your mom bought you a house, I bought my own house more than once. Okay? Yeah, I'm not doing well financially because I don't have a high-paying job at the moment, and I have medical bills. Okay? And I have expensive hobbies because I'm bipolar. Okay? But here's the thing you have to understand. Like I said, I do this as a hobby. I buy video games as a hobby. I buy toys as a hobby. You know, I don't buy video games to sell them. I don't buy toys to sell them. People always ask me, why don't you sell your toys? Look at my toys. I buy a $4 broken, used, you know, loose, played with condition action figure off of eBay because nobody wants it. I'm going to turn around and sell it for $4? No, I'm going to have to sell it for like 50 cents. Or give it away. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah, sometimes I ask for a little bit of help because I'm bad at budgeting. But you know what? That's not something that's any of your business. You know? And by the way, one person made a comment. You're always buying toys when you're in so much debt. Everybody's in debt, dude. Even the asshole who said that probably has credit card debt or medical debt. Or probably student loan debt. Well, probably not student loan debt because they were an idiot and didn't go to college. But you know what I mean? Who cares if you have debt? What does that have to do with anything? You know? So, again, I want to backpedal and say, I'm not saying I'm better than you or anybody, because I'm not. We're all equal. We're all people. Right? And I'm not trying to say I'm more successful than this person or that person, because really I'm not. But I'm saying, when you look at all the things I've done in my life, you know, I've owned my own comic book store. And I don't mean an eBay listing. I had an actual physical brick and mortar store. Have you done that? You opened your own business? No. Okay? And maybe you have. If you have, great. Congratulations, good for you. Yay. You've done more than the jerks that are going to call me a scrub living in my mom's basement because they're actually the scrubs living in their mom's basements and they're just projecting. So, if you're going to watch this video, if you're 100 or an hour and 27 minutes into this video, you're still watching it, first of all, thank you. Second of all, please understand that I don't think I'm better than you. And please understand that I know how to make professional content. I went to college for it. I did it for a living. I intentionally, specifically choose not to. Because it's just a hobby. I'm not going to put in any more effort into making my videos than turning on the camera and rambling for however long it takes. Because it's just a fucking hobby. So please don't give me advice on how to make thumbnails or lighting or set dressing or how to do hair and makeup and all that stuff. Because I worked in the news business. I know all this stuff. Okay? I've used video editing software you've never even heard of. Okay? You don't even know what it is. You couldn't even Google it because you wouldn't know what it is. You wouldn't even know how to spell it. Okay? And again, I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying I know this stuff. I choose not to do it because I'm not going to put in that kind of effort for a hobby. Thanks for watching.